of you, and welcome to the AIBF Leadership Series. Now, the business leader we have today is very interesting case study. This business has survived three major business cycles and made it through the recession. So please welcome our special guest today, Francis Roche. Francis is the managing director of the Marathon Group, one of our proud all-star relationship-centric organization, and Francis will expand more onto it later on. So just a few words about Marathon Group. So Marathon Group is a family-run business for over 25 years. Initially, they started with the concept of setting up a bus company without owning any of the buses. Imagine like a Uber or Amazon. So Francis, you're very welcome. And without further delay, I would like to ask you my first question. Please share with us, how did it all start?
Good morning to everybody, and thank you very much for the opportunity here to speak with you all today and to share my thoughts on our journey. So it started actually when I was looking at this yesterday and then today. My actual entrepreneur journey started when I was 8 years of age, when I started up my first business, repairing, doing puncture repairs on bikes and taking bikes in, old bikes, and doing them up. And that developed into, when I was 12, setting up a business called Small Jobs Incorporated, which was cutting grass, hedges, anything at all. So, but my journey in the marathon business, which with Michael, which we started, the bus company without any buses, started 25 years ago. So when I looked at that this morning, I've actually been 38 years creating businesses, and it's quite a thing to think that most of your life that's what you've been doing, that you've been creating. So that's how it all started, exactly as you said. And my response to Michael was working in a bus company at the time, and he saw that the cost of drivers and the cost of the maintenance and everything else was taking so much energy and time out of the business, that if you focused on your marketing and sales, that and then just hired in the buses as you needed them, that actually was the key to success. And I was just in my final year of college when he came to me with that business idea, and my kind of thing was, well, absolutely, let's give this a go and see where we end up.
That's brilliant. So essentially, you become a sales and distribution company, and you
we
were
the sales,
the
marketing,
and suppliers.
Yeah, exactly. The sales, marketing, and most importantly, the operations. It was managing that service end of it. What we found was customers don't mind what name is on the bus that arrives once it's the nice bus that they ordered, that it's, half an hour before the time they ordered it for, and that the driver is, providing that kind of nice service to the clients. They didn't mind which name was on the bus. The important thing was the service around that.
Brilliant. And so, Francis, tell me, back in March 2020, when the pandemic hit, what did you do when it all stopped? I would assume probably a lot of the travel restricted, the contracts finished, there were no events happening. So...
Absolutely. Well, as I said, the company built from the point of just running the virtual bus company into doing travel tours. Marathon Sports Travel would be a massively well-known brand, bringing people to the Premier League, rugby matches, World Cups, Lions tours. At home here, we had our what we call our day tours. We call them the granny tours because it's kind of that over 65 market. They go very traditional, days out, weekends away, holiday breaks. And then over the last 10 years, we've really become a specialist in the transport and logistics around major events. So literally, when I was looking at the business a year ago, Mike and my business partner successfully retired out of the business. It was down then to myself and my brother Padraig and my other brother David, and Padraig's wife Minna. We were now the management team. We were now in charge. And when we were looking at things, then looking at the last 10 years, how at one stage one part of the one revenue stream would be up, another would down. I said, how well set are we now? You know what I mean? Even if something happens, one part of the business, we have so many other very strong, reliable revenue streams. We had massive plans for 2020, and we hit the ground absolutely flying in January 2020. And right up to our last event was the Liverpool versus Atletico in Anfield, where we had a couple of hundred people away at it. That was our last kind of major event. And literally then it all stopped. And when it all stopped, it actually was hard to process. For me, I was here going, oh, it'll be a week, it'll be 2 weeks. We'll be back in April. We'll be back in May. The summer series will happen and all that. And I think for all of us, and we were trying to grapple with the kind of vastness of it and the challenges of it. And I think we really went through the process of grief. We had that all. We had denial, we had anger, we had bargaining. But eventually, sometime I would say probably around Easter time in early April, we came to a point of acceptance that we are not in control of this, and we have to stop trying to guess what's going to happen and look at how we are going to respond.
Second.
Yeah.
So at what point in time, Francis, when you realised that everything was, I don't mean going down the tubes, but obviously pertinent
everything had gone off a cliff from the point of view of the revenues and everything else. It literally was that it wasn't the things were going down the tube. We were very well managed. We were a very well run and very well funded group, and we would always have been very careful of because we'd gone through the very lean times in the recession. Every euro was minded and respected. And as I said, we never got into flahulok things like we might have done back in the 2004 to 2007 and 8, where you kind of business decision you made then you didn't repeat and you learned from them. So we really, when we dust ourselves off and when we looked at where we were at, we looked at our key skills, and our key skills for not just myself but on the management team is that we were project managers. We were people who could connect things together, who could bring things together, and that was the basis under which we started. That was the change where we started saying, okay, if we're project managers, it doesn't matter. We're attached to travel. We really like that, and we're really good at that. But that wasn't what was going to define us. That we said, right, we're going to see what it is out there for us. Mm-hmm. So it was literally that. It was literally that point where we kind of looked at what are we going to do now. So I suppose moving on from that then was that we then looked at what businesses were out there, what was the needs, what was the requirements, and that's where we started looking at all the options that were in front of us.
And what did you do? Like, what question did you ask yourself, your team, and where did you venture?
The question we asked is that where is the need, and where can we fill that need? So from probably around March time onwards, I'd been speaking with the guys who I would have traditionally got tickets off. I would have speaking with all our contacts, people who were ringing to see were we okay, people who were genuinely concerned, how are things? And then we looked at, well, where are we at in terms of this whole thing? And we said, right, when I spoke to a number of my contacts, and they said, listen, the area of PPE, sanitation, dispensers, everything like that there really looks like it's going to be, as we come out of this, there's going to be a huge need for this. And we very quickly, through the contacts that we'd made over the 25 years, created a supply chain for masks, for dispensers, for PPE, and for everything around that COVID safe area. And then we said, well, it needs, knowing what we knew, it needs to have a brand, it needs to have something to identify with, it needs to have the website. So we immediately got busy in creating all those things. But it's amazing. We spent a lot of time developing the website. We developed a lot of time developing the brand. We spent a lot of time doing all of that. But when I look back now, over 90% of the business came from my phone. And that was people who rang me or people who put me in touch with people. So one of the people who rang me and supported me all throughout this was a friend of mine called Jerry Hussey. And he actually gave me Elaine's number and said, he gave me a list of 5 people. He said, here's 5 people to ring. And Elaine was one of those 5 people. And
good to know.
yeah. So it's funny but that's how, as I said, and as we started to move and do things, we contacted health and safety, people that we knew. And of course, they were pivoting into audits. They were pivoting into all areas to do with that there. And then we became their supplier of choice, because they would trust us to know if we say we'll deliver, or if we say we'll fit, or if we'll say we have the product, they'll know that it's properly certified. They know that it's properly, and that we stand behind it. And I think that's the key thing we learned, because we'd stood behind so many things with them over the years, that we could have been selling anything, but because we were behind it, they trusted it, and that trust is what carried it.
Yeah, that's a very interesting case study, Francis, because you had an established customer base, right? And the mindset you adapted was you were a product manager. But I want to ask you a question, how did you grow a business in such a short span of time, and especially in a completely new area where, you didn't have any experience before?
Yeah, I think the key to it all was the experience. We had experience. We've made all the mistakes. In 25 years, you've made them all. You've probably made them 2 or 3 times. And when we were looking at it in the calm light of day, we said, well, let's, make sure the finance is set up properly, make sure the margins are set up properly, make sure the website is set up properly. And those things were just standard things that we had done over the years with all our business streams. And then, we had, you always have to have a little bit of luck, or where you things. So we had a company in Wales. The man who owns it, I dealt with him for 15 years with tickets for Ireland-Wales matches, and then Wales-Ireland matches when they're here in the Aviva. And he owns a massive chemical company in the UK. And he just said to me, I'll make you the sole supplier for Ireland. We'll supply into you whatever you need. Gave us credit terms, gave us time to get the business. And in 6 weeks, we had a massive supply chain that was able to supply clients any level of product at, within a very short, our turnaround time for big deliveries was about 4 days.
Wow. Francis, you mentioned that when you applied for the AllStar, you had an interesting discovery through the process. Can you please share that part?
Yeah, well, I suppose when I connected with Elaine was very kind, and she connected me with a number of the business AllStars, and they were very kind. I wasn't part of the tribe at the time, but they gave me their time, and where they could, they assisted me on my journey. The process of the business AllStars, and it was a throwaway comment by Elaine. She said, did you ever consider going through the process of the AllStar, the audit and everything else? And my mind was immediately, I'm not going to do that. And that sat, and that was grand. And then every now and then it'd pop into my head, well, why don't you just have a look at it? So I had a look at the website, looked at all that was involved, look at the independent audit, says, oh my God, all our businesses are failing. I said, we can't go near this. We'll do it in a year or 2 when we're back up and running again. But the voice kept coming into my head, well, sure, why don't you just go through the process? It costs nothing. All it costs is a little bit of time to write your story. So I did it then. I just one day when I was there, and it was in the middle of a very busy time in June, I just went through the thing, and then I started writing the story. And then Kieran got in touch with me, and I was there, it's not quite ready and it's not perfect. And he says, no, you're doing exactly what we want. Just keep writing that way. So I finished it off, and I submitted it. And the interesting part of the whole thing was that you were obviously giving clients to talk to, suppliers to talk to, employees to talk to. And it was a big kind of like, what will they say about me? The judgment, the whole kind of like, oh my God, what is this going to be like? What will they come back saying? And then when Kieran, and as I said, I know we've all been through the process, came back and said, yes, you know what I mean? We've had very positive feedback, and yes, you will be accredited and everything else. It came down to then, what would we be accredited for? What was our 25 years of business about? And he says, oh, well, your customers spoke very well of you, your suppliers spoke well of you, a whole lot. And it was probably 3 or 4 days, myself and Kieran were going over and back, because I said, it's not right yet. It's not about our customers, and it's not only about our customers. It's not only about suppliers. And that's when it came to me. I said that Marathon, about what we put even before money is the relationship we had with our suppliers, the relationship we had with our customers, the relationship we have with our staff. If that isn't as we had invested in it over the years, well, then we would not have been able to build the new business as quick as we did. We would not have got the support of the people who we worked with over the 10 years, who had also had to pivot into new areas of business. And it was like an aha moment to say, that is what we're about. So even if we were never to do another tribe meeting, if we were to never to do anything else with the business AllStars, that gift of knowing what it is we are about. So now when I meet people and they say, and what do you do? I said, we build great relationships with customers and suppliers.
I think that's such a fantastic clarity to have it, and you have a fantastic case study on the relationship-centric business as well. Francis, my next question is that in the last number of months, what the current crisis has taught you about the business and life?
Well, I think for me, I can only speak of myself. And for me, I believe that there's an energy that we're all connected to. And what I've learned, and if you look at what the business AllStar is about, the tribe is about, it is about that connection. And myself and the business are obviously intertwined. You build it, you love it, you nurture it. But for me, what I've learned is that I think I've always believed, but it's been reaffirmed to me so many times. I believe that the universe always speaks to me through my heart. And that is the side that is the compassion, the trusting, the gratefulness, and the loving part of me. And that when I let that part of me shine and show, it attracts so much to my life. The people who had not heard of for years would ring and say, what can we do? Can we help? People wanted to give us business. People wanted to connect with us. And that has been my biggest learning for myself over the last number of months, but I've been on this journey for years, is that there is no challenge now that I can't take on, because it's when I'm listening to that inner voice, I believe it comes from my heart, not my head, then I'm listening to the universe.
That's the law of attraction. So you believe in that law of attraction?
Yes, I do.
Very good. Francis, you seem like a very holistic leader, right? How do you continue to develop your own entrepreneurship levels?
I think we're always looking. I think the one thing that we said when the COVID came and all the business streams started, and when we got through that grieving process to the point of acceptance, we understood that we actually don't know anything, and that nothing is guaranteed for anybody. But the one thing that we were in control of was turning up at our very best every day, and giving it our best every day, and doing the big tasks or the small tasks, whatever was required, whether it was a call to a customer who was unsure about their getting the refund, whether it was a call to a supplier to say, how are you doing today? How are you getting on with it all? Whatever it was, we all committed to turning up in our very best and giving of our very best every day. And those days we have struggled. This is not it has been brilliant every day. Absolutely not. There's days in the last couple of weeks where, this second lockdown, I found it a lot tougher. Because we're in that we're moving from the kind of emergency to the kind of, now we're at the living with COVID, and now there's the hope of the vaccine. And the challenge is to bring our businesses on that journey for probably another 6 months before we get to a new normal. It won't be an old normal, and people keep talking about the old normal. That's gone. And to just trust and believe that if it's taken us this far, it will take us all the way. And that has been the big learning. And that's where now, when we have this time that we're not busy, we all remember busy, where we're not busy, that we are going back to those core principles, and we are creating from that point of conscious creation. And we're looking for literally the signs, and we're listening to see, well, where the question we're asking ourselves at the moment is, what businesses, what version of ourselves do we want showing up in 2021?
Brilliant. Francis, what are your plans in terms of continue building and growing your business for the next 6 to 9 months to 12 months?
Well, they're multifaceted given the number of businesses that we have. Obviously, we're hoping that the travel and coach hire businesses, the coach hire has been the first business to come back. So we would hope that would be on a growth trajectory into 2021. Well, it will compared to 2020 anyway. We would hope that the vaccine and obviously rapid testing might help the travel, even that if that's within Ireland, to get up and running for 2021, and maybe the latter half of 2021 into 2022, we'll see a further bigger recovery where we can go back to our sports with full stadiums, where we can go back to all those type of things. So there are kind of older revenue streams. The COVID safe services, I think, is going to keep growing in that, with a vaccine and everything else, we're going to probably develop that into more on the safety side of the events, because there's going to be a correlation between events coming back and needing expertise, equipment, whatever it is to kind of help those events get off the ground. So we can see that event stuff coming together with our COVID stuff. And then another new business, which is not on our board here, which we're going to be launching in January 2021, is wellset.ie. And that is about your wellness and your mindset, Wellset. And that's going to be led up by my brother Padraig, who is a fantastic coach. And on his journey over the last 9 months, he has recognized that that's where his passion, his love is, and that we as a group are going to support that in making sure that he can be the very best version of himself. And that that's the next exciting part that we're looking forward to. And when we're looking for the signals, and even as I talk about it here, I can feel that lovely energy, that kind of, as you say, that tingle at the back of your neck when the hairs are rising, going, yes, this is the right way. And I'm really looking forward to launching that new business in 2021. That will be at the center of what we create, how we create, and how we attract people to work with us, and not just work as an employee. We do a massive amount of contracting with great people out there on major events. Like there's events days where we've had control of 300, 400, 500 people running and managing parts of things for people. And we look forward to doing that again, but we don't know what form that will take today. But we do know that we go into it with our eyes wide open.
Francis, I have a last 3 rapid fire questions from you. You are a very positive person. I love your energy, positivity, calmness. What's the secret? What the habits? Do you have any specific habit that helps you to stay positive throughout the difficult time?
There's a number of things. We have to take personal responsibility. I call it my code, your calendar of daily events. What it is you do every day.
Calendar of daily events. Okay.
Code. Calendar of daily events. It's about, I get up usually 6 o'clock most mornings, and I do something, whether it's a fitness class over Zoom, whether it's a run, yoga, meditation. I don't do them every day, guys. I'm not some guy who's doing it, but I try every day to do them. And on the days I don't, and there's been days in the last few weeks where I haven't, and I've struggled to get the runners on, I have learned to forgive myself and say it's okay. Just put them on tomorrow.
Forgive
do tomorrow.
Perfect. Second question, the biggest thing you struggle as an entrepreneur?
The biggest thing?
You struggle as an entrepreneur?
The biggest challenge is, has been over the years, is my imposter syndrome. You know, I'm not a real entrepreneur. I'm not a real businessman. It's not a real business. Oh, I don't want to go on social media saying I'm doing this or doing that because people will be there to shoot me down. I think I've learned over the last number of years, and especially accelerated in the last year, is that I am a successful entrepreneur, because the success is not in the finance. It's not in the of £1 million in the bank. It's about turning up every day and being there every day. And that's the key. That's what entrepreneurs, it's their resilience. It's the, you know, they dust themselves off and they go again. And people are saying, you're mad to be doing that. But there's an inner voice that usually drives us that says, no, it's a good idea. Stick with it. It's good. And like, how many ideas do we know of where the entrepreneurs said afterwards, well, everybody else said I was mad, but I had a belief and I had an understanding. And I think the biggest challenge is that I've overcome that imposter syndrome over the last number of years, where I've said, well, look, this is who I am. You know, like me, dislike me, but this is who I am. And I think I've got to a point where I'm very happy with who I am.
Brilliant. I think a lot of people, entrepreneurs, will relate to that syndrome. Finally, Francis, what are the top 2 takeaways you would like to leave the audience today?
Well, it's not so much they're kind of intertwined. So this is a direct quote from Gary Vee. So I am stealing a very good idea shamelessly. I saw it yesterday and thought it very appropriate as one of the things. So he said, don't cancel the year that woke you up. So 2020 can be about a lot of things, but it is actually the year where a lot of people woke up within themselves. Then the second thing is that there are no redos in my life. I turn up each day as the very best version of myself, and I listen to the voice of my heart that connects me to the divine, to the universal voice that guides me on my journey.
Brilliant. Listen, Francis, I personally learned a lot. I loved your story about resilience, your philosophy of the business about the relationship centricity. I think such a fantastic case study. I love your energy and your principle as well. Listen, congratulations, and we wish you best, continued success in the Marathon Group. And thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much for this opportunity.